what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. I know I've been gone for a couple days, but I do have COVID. So I've kind of felt like crap for the past couple days, and my voice might sound a little bit different. So that's why. But we've got bodybuilding stories to discuss. So the first story that we've got for you guys today, a physique update from Nick Walker, weighing in at 294 pounds. I guess we're, 14 weeks out from the Olympia now? And he's showing off here what I've always thought has been one of his most competitive attributes, is the fact that he is such a mass monster in his own right, but he's always been able to maintain this pretty complete control over his midsection while on stage. Even though it might not be the prettiest and it might not be the smallest waist, he's always had very good abdominal control. And he says in the caption of this post, waist getting tight and the abs are coming in. And like I said, I really think that's something that has worked to his advantage pretty heavily, is the fact that every time you do see him on stage, he never seems to let that midsection slip, and I think that's something that has really worked in his favor. And I'm curious, after placing 5th at last year's Olympia, and he was working with a different coach back then, he was working with Matt Jansen, now he's working with Dom Mutasio, Dom Super Sliced, and you combine that with the fact that he's essentially taken the entire year off. He hasn't competed at all between last Olympia and this Olympia. He chose to forego the Arnold Classic. I think it goes without saying that we're going to see a different Nick Walker on the Olympia stage this year. There's so many factors playing into that, and I guess the question is going to be, is that going to be a better Nick Walker or a worse Nick Walker? Can he improve upon that 5th place placing? Could he be top 3? Could he be top 2? And we've kind of talked about this all year, and I think him and Hunter are kind of the closest, and I think he's got the best shot at potentially placing ahead of Hunter and improving to 4th place. But I really think he's got his work cut out for him if he's going to be placing ahead of the top 3, which would be Hadi, Brandon, and Ramy. So I think cracking the top 3 is going to be difficult for him this year, but I don't think it's impossible. But I do think he can improve upon last year's placing. I'm curious to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. Now, next up in the news, the big story of the week, another big Ramy physique update. Big Ramy's been dropping these updates pretty much every week. In this update, kind of similar to what we've been seeing from Ramy so far, in the sense that we still haven't seen his lower body. That's kind of the one thing that he's held back and refrained from showing. And he's been showing off a lot of front shots of his upper body, but in this one you do get to see his lats. You get to see 2 shots of his rear lat spread. Then you also get to see a front lat spread and kind of a hands on hips most muscular. So if we could for a second look at the front lat spread, because that's the one that I saw the most comments about and the most messages about. And I do really pay attention to the comments and the messages. So a lot of people were saying Ramy's shoulders look a little bit suspect in these updates, saying they look excessively puffy, round, full, disproportionate even to the way the rest of his physique looks. And I can definitely agree with that. I can see that, especially in this front lat spread pose. I think that's the pose for me where they really kind of look disproportionate to the rest of his body. I mean, Ramy is a big guy, so of course he's going to have really big delts, but it's not a question of big, and that's why I use the word disproportionate. They almost look like they shouldn't be that big compared to the way the rest of his body looks. The way that they pop and the way they stick out like that, particularly in this pose, I think could be viewed as a little bit much. And it does bring into play that kind of age-old question with any guy that has kind of a suspicious-looking muscle group. Could it be site enhancement? Could it be synthol? And I think that possibility certainly exists. And while we know a lot of top pros are doing it and using it, a lot of them know how to use it in moderation to where it doesn't look super noticeable or, super easy to point out. And I think that's where people start to get dinged for it, is only in circumstances where it's really obvious or really excessive in one certain spot. And that's where it could become an issue for Ramy, is if that is the case and they do look like that because of site enhancement, the judges could ding him for that if it looks too excessive on stage. But again, just like with any bodybuilder, it's hard to speak in certainties and say what these guys are doing or not doing, because in all reality, Ramy is a freak of nature. Is it possible that his shoulders are just that crazy? It is possible. Is it also possible that he's using some kind of SEOs to fill them out like that? That's also possible. But if I could also throw in a positive with this picture, this is another perfect example of the thing that I think makes Ramy the most dangerous, and I've talked about this at length in the other videos, is the crazy width that Ramy has. We talked about how his waist looks really small in these updates, which I think it does. We talked about the fact that his abs look very deep and separated in these updates, which they do. But it's that crazy upper body width combined with that makes this crazy X frame that Ramy has. That we already know his body weight. We know he's an insanely big bodybuilder, but it's the width and that illusion of width that makes him such a commanding stage presence and such a dominant force at the actual competition. And I think this pose in this update is a really good example of that. I mean, this is a perfect example of insane, crazy width. And I think that's why a lot of people were drawn to this picture. Even though a lot of them were critical about the shoulders, I think, this picture is just very, very striking. A, because of the shoulders, and B, because of the width. And the shoulders do accentuate that width, and that is a big part of why he looks so wide, which could be a massive incentive for someone to use SEOs in their shoulder. And it's not just the shoulders with Ramy. I mean, a lot of people have speculated he's doing the same thing in his quads because kind of over the years, it seems like his quads looked less separated than they had in the past, or less detailed, but they looked fuller. So I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to prove, and it's really all speculation. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys think Ramy's shoulders are just that big? Do you think he's using some kind of site enhancement oil? Do you think if he is, it's too much at this point? Do you think it's going to hurt him at the Olympia? My perspective on it is really the fact that for Ramy, this hasn't really been a new thing. Whether he's using SEOs in his shoulders or not, to me, his shoulders have kind of always looked like this. It doesn't look that much more pronounced for this Olympia prep than it has in the past as far as the overall just roundness of his shoulders. But I would say, looking at him, there's probably a good chance that he is using some kind of SEOs. But again, very hard to prove. And really, whether or not it's excessive is the question. So yeah, I agree with you guys. I notice it too, but I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys think it's noticeable? Do you think that is what it is? And do you think it'll hurt him at the Olympia? Now, next up in the news, I thought this was interesting because I actually didn't know that this happened. So Blessing Awodabu posted a post calling out Michal Krizo. So yes, that is Michal Krizo on the left, and that is Blessing on the right. And the caption is, "That time that I smoked the guy on the left last year as an amateur, winning the first of my 4 overalls pro qualifying wins that year. That was in 2017. So he says, "Welcome to the big league, big guy. We'll do this again soon." Name the guy on the left. So that was over 5 years ago. And obviously, it was a much smaller version of Michal Krizo. It was only the past few years that Michal Krizo really became a much bigger name and a much more dominant bodybuilder and really came into his prime. So it's not like it would be the same matchup this time around. But I did think that was interesting of Blessing to point out because I actually did not know that as an amateur, Blessing had already beaten Michal Krizo. And as we know, Blessing is qualified for the Olympia, and there is a chance that Michal turns pro, then wins that pro show to qualify for the Olympia, and we could see Blessing versus Michal Krizo round 2, both as professionals this time, and both as Olympians this time. Who do you guys feel would win in that rematch, Blessing versus Krizo at the Olympia? If we even get to see that rematch. It's still a big if at this point. We don't know for sure that Krizo is going to get there, but I think there's a good chance that he does. And the final story that I have for you guys today, Martin Fitzwater posting his latest physique update just a few weeks out now from the 2022 Arnold Classic UK. And I've seen some back and forth between Martin and Andrew Jacked. Obviously, that was the matchup in Texas. Andrew Jacked won the Texas Pro. Martin Fitzwater was second. And Andrew is supposed to compete in the Arnold Classic UK, but I still think there's a good chance that he chooses not to and focuses exclusively on the Olympia. So that being said, if Andrew doesn't compete in the UK, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Arnold Classic UK title is going to be between James Hollingshead and Martin Fitzwater. And honestly, I was really, really impressed with the package that Martin put together for the Texas Pro. And I think it's kind of unfortunate in a way because I think he got overshadowed by the whole Andrew Jack story because that was the big story coming out of Texas was Andrew Jack, his pro debut. Looked fantastic. But I think Martin really brought a very, very complete, very conditioned, very competitive physique to that stage. And I think he's a very dangerous open bodybuilder. I would even go as far to say right now he's probably my pick to win the UK show. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. What are your Arnold Classic UK predictions? What do you guys think of the big Ramy physique update? That's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you leave a like on the video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet already. As always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power. Signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.
Dancing in the good light, everybody's feeling warm and bright. It's such a fine and natural sight. Dancing in the good light, everybody's feeling warm and bright. It's such a and everybody's dancing in the